Let's be honest. We've reached a point where, for many men, being alone isn't a tragedy. It's the most logical decision. Not because they hate women, and not because they've become antisocial. It's simply because relationships today often look like a deal with terrible terms. Men did the math, and the numbers don't add up. Think about it. When was the last time you saw a genuinely happy, stable, and respectful couple under 35? Not smiling on Instagram, but truly content with each other. You probably can't remember. That's not coincidence. That's the environment we've built. For many men, staying single isn't about avoidance. It's about self-preservation. It's not, I don't want relationships. It's the risk doesn't justify the reward. Imagine someone inviting you to a game where the stakes are your mental health, your savings, your peace, and years of your life. You're told there's a 70% chance of losing everything. And even those who win say half the time it wasn't worth it. Would you play? Of course not. But that's exactly how modern relationships look to many men. That's why they're checking out. And these aren't losers or slackers. They're stable, fit, decent men who work, earn, dress well, and live on their own. But they open dating apps and see a list of requirements that reads like a CEO job posting. Tall, rich, emotionally intelligent, well-traveled, stylish, with real estate, humor, and the emotional range of a therapist. The guy naturally wonders, and what do I get in return? A huge number of women have confused value with demands. It's like trying to sell an old car for the price of Ferrari just because you put new seat covers on it. When no one buys, instead of lowering the price, they blame men for being cheap or weak. It's not bitterness. It's market logic. I've seen it too many times. A woman with barely any savings, living with roommates, want a man with a house, car, international vacations, and endless attention. You ask, what do you bring to the table? She says, I'm the prize. The prize for what, existing? That's not partnership. That's delusion. Meanwhile, men watch what happens around them. Divorces, custody losses, endless alimony, good fathers erased from their children's lives. They see videos of women bragging about using men for free dinners, group chats about how to get the most out of a guy. And men start asking a very fair question. Why would I play a game that's rigged against me? What hits hardest isn't even money. It's the lack of appreciation. A man can work 60 hours a week, pay for everything, fix, help, support, remember dates, plan surprises, and still hear, that's the bare minimum. The bare minimum. What used to be respected is now dismissed as expected. And suddenly the average good man is treated like he's inadequate just for being ordinary. It used to be simple. A man provided, a woman respected and cared for him. Now it's one-sided. A man provides and gets criticized for not providing more. Our grandfathers supported entire families and were honored for it. Now you need to be a millionaire just to get a thank you. Society made it worse by turning male humiliation into entertainment. Men are trash is a trending joke. Reverse it and you're banned. Public disrespect of men became socially acceptable. And then people wonder why men retreat into solitude, work, and games. At least there, effort equals reward. Here's a simple example. A guy takes a woman on a date to a restaurant she chose, pays the bill, tries to talk. She spends the whole evening filming her food for Instagram. At the end, she calls it boring and leaves. The next day she posts, "Where have all the romantic men gone?" He wasn't a date. He was free content. After enough of that, men stop trying. Then there's the housing delusion. A woman living with 5 roommates and eating instant noodles refuses a man because he doesn't own a house. In big cities, maybe 5% of men under 35 own property. She's rejecting 95% of the market and then complaining there are no good men. It's not romance. It's math that doesn't add up. And then there's the career queen pattern. Women spending a decade rejecting men for not being tall, rich, or exciting enough, only to hit 35 and panic. The checklist shrinks fast, but by then, the men they once wanted are either taken or no longer interested. Because after 30, men's options usually expand, while women's narrow. Ironically, the truly independent women, those who are successful and self-sufficient, don't scream it online. They don't need to prove it. The loudest "I don't need a man" chants usually come from women barely making ends meet. It's not strength. It's denial dressed up as empowerment. Reality eventually catches up. Men have noticed the pattern. At 22, I don't need anyone. At 28, I want something serious, but he must meet 47 conditions. At 33, where did all the good men go? At 38, anyone breathing and texting back is fine. And men respond logically. Why would I choose a 35-year-old with bitterness and baggage when I can be with a 25-year-old who's kind and grateful? That's not misogyny. That's market behavior. Social media completely warped reality. A woman matches once with a high-status guy and suddenly believes that's her level. He was likely bored, married, or both, but that illusion sticks. It's like winning $20 in a casino and thinking you're a professional gambler. The algorithm feeds fantasy, not reality. And the saddest part? Most men aren't asking for much. They want peace, loyalty, basic attraction. A woman who doesn't create chaos every week, who takes care of herself, and who genuinely likes him. Not a trophy, not a saint, just someone kind. But that's somehow too much. Too many women now treat relationships like a business deal where they're the CEO and the man's the unpaid intern. Even shaming doesn't work anymore. Call him an incel, a coward, not a real man. He'll shrug and go back to his hobbies. He's realized solitude isn't failure. It's freedom. No arguments. No drama. No manipulation. Just peace, his money, his time, his decisions. And the longer he lives like that, the less he wants to go back. Meanwhile, women are cracking under the loneliness they once mocked. 30 and 40-something wine moms posting cat memes and self-love quotes while secretly wondering what went wrong. They were told they could have it all whenever they wanted, career first, love later. But men stopped showing up by the time they were ready. Dating apps made it worse. Women believe they have thousands of choices. In reality, most of those men swipe right on everyone. It's not interest, it's statistics. But that illusion of abundance makes them reject decent men and chase unattainable ones. The result? Loneliness wrapped in validation. At the same time, men realize that meeting women offline has become dangerous. At work, HR complaint. At the gym, creep. At bars, I'm here with friends. Online, you're one of hundreds in her inbox. And then she says, where are all the confident men? They're still here. They've just stopped volunteering for humiliation. Add it all up, and the logic is simple. High risk, low reward, no gratitude, no protection, constant blame. A rational man looks at that and says, no deal. And he's right. There's no big solution. Women won't lower their standards until it's too late. Men have already adapted. Result: fewer marriages, fewer children, more loneliness. In 20 years, we'll look back at this as the good old days, when at least some people still tried. The best advice for men? Invest in yourself. Your health, wealth, peace. If a woman adds value, great. If not, you've lost nothing. For women, check whether your standards are based on reality or Instagram fantasies. Because time doesn't care about hashtags, and reality, as always, is undefeated.